This is a CFCN special presentation.
The European war that was supposed to be over by Christmas had ended. After 4 years of living hell in the trenches and a few months of garrison duty on the continent, the victorious Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry was coming home. Of the 5,086 officers and men who sailed to France in 1914, only 1,110 returned. The losses were staggering. The regiment lost the men, but not the color. A tradition of sacrifice and dedication spanning 75 years, 2 world wars, Korea, and peacekeeping was baptized in blood. Calgary, 1989. For 2 days, aircraft from all over the world brought them back, home to the regimental headquarters to celebrate 75 years of tradition and service. They came from across Canada, from Britain, Norway, and Switzerland, carrying suitcases packed with freshly pressed uniforms and newly polished medals. They came from Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, and from almost every state in the U.S., bringing their memories to share with best friends and comrades most had not seen for years.
The reason that we come to the reunion, my wife and I, is simply people. And the regiment is not equipment, it's people, soldiers and their wives and their families. And in 32 years, most of those of my generation are personal friends.
It's a chance to get together to renew our bonds with the regiment, but also to renew personal bonds with very good and dear friends, who many of us may not have seen from the time we started our service until now. So it's a chance to get together to renew acquaintances and to refresh ourselves, I guess, with a little bit of regimental mystique and lore.
I'm sure that she'll see some people we haven't seen since our wedding. Oh, yeah. Since we were at a regimental wedding in Holland in 1945.
Well, I guess we'll tell a whole bunch of war stories about Korea. With the old times we had, lovely.
He wasn't too well 3 weeks ago. We didn't know whether we could make it, but by golly, he said he's going to make it here.
Oh, I hope to meet a lot of the old fellows that I was with in Italy and England.
It was a pilgrimage of faith, filled with all the expectation and joy of a love affair. Currie Barracks, Canadian Forces Base, Calgary. The Princess Pats have been here since 1946. For many, being back on base is just like coming home.
Look at this. Oh, Jesus, Murphy.
Good to see you. Good to see you. You too.
Were you there when they fired all these figures? They fired about 75,000 rounds once, supporting the British? Gibraltar? Little Gibraltar?
No, that was afterwards. That's when the first...
Oh, this is just unbelievable. It's, just out of this world. Actually, I've been looking forward to this for the last 10 years almost, yes.
Okay, sir, too easy. Just two of them?
There were arrangements to be made, thousands of tickets to give out, dates, times, and places to remember, and friends to meet. Most of the meeting took place here at the Better Ole, a massive all-ranks club which never closed and never ran out of beer.
I had 3 months to go in Korea. I was a dispatch rider. I was coming down a hill, and I passed this guy, and he yelled. He says, "Hey, hold it a minute." He says, "I'm looking for a dog company." I turned around with my buddy from my hometown. So I advised him where to go and keep his head down if he heard any funny noises.
Which one is you?
Bring me in.
When you see all the old faces, it doesn't seem that long ago. Start swapping stories here, meet old friends again, and if you read the write-up in the Legion that was just out here, it said once a Patricia, always a Patricia, and I think that's the bottom line.
The Princess Pats are proud of their royal affiliations. The regiment formed in 1914 by Montreal businessman Andrew Hamilton Galt was named after Queen Victoria's granddaughter, Princess Patricia. It was the princess who handpicked the regiment's current colonel-in-chief, Lady Patricia, Countess Mountbatten of Burma. Lady Patricia is respected and loved. She is no stranger to the harsh realities of war. She served as a Wren in World War II. In 1979, she was wounded in the tragic IRA attack, which claimed the lives of her son Nicholas and father, Lord Louis Mountbatten. Especially dear to Lady Patricia are her First World War veterans. She spoke to every one, as did her predecessor, Princess Patricia, in 1918. Vets of the Great War remember that as if it were yesterday.
I met Princess Patricia. She came to, I think it was Whitley Camp, and put a wreath on the Ricadam-doo. And I was at the on parade that day when she came and put that in. I was also at her wedding in London, and there was one of the papers put out a paper on Sunday. It was Sunday paper, and it came out on Sunday paper, and there was a woman that had fainted across the road from where I was, and I saw her keel over, so I rushed over to him just as I got there and was holding the woman in my arms. The paper took the picture of it and it appeared in the morning paper, so they accused me of going around with another woman. However, I think they're marvelous that the royalty can take part in these dues that we have and make such a wonderful job of it.
Led by their unusual mascot Pinto, the 2nd Battalion Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry were on parade at Iserlohn in Germany for an important ceremonial occasion, which included the trooping of the colour, the first time this ceremony had been performed by a Canadian unit on foreign soil.
Trooping the Colour is the most impressive and ceremonial parade of the military year. It began as a practical exercise. The colour was paraded through the ranks daily so the men could recognize it during battle. The colour is a regiment's most prized possession and is defended at all cost. The original, called the Ricadam-doo, hand-embroidered by Princess Patricia and crowned with the wreath of laurel, is at rest in the PPCLI Museum. Today, the trooping is strictly ceremonial and performed only on special occasions. In 1974, during the regiment's 60th anniversary trooping, Lady Patricia accompanied her father, then Admiral of the Fleet, Lord Louis Mountbatten, to McMahon Stadium in Calgary. She took the salute while the 1st Battalion trooped the colour. It was the climax of her visit. In 1989, the colorful Trooping of the Colors, plural because all 4 regimental colors were on parade, was the highlight of the 75th celebrations.
Escort to the color!
Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, General Salute, present, Patricia's, stand at 8.
Today's color is emblazoned with battle honors won in both world wars and in Korea. It remains as a symbol of the victories, the honors, and the proud tradition. The Old Guard, watching the trooping, earned the battle honors embroidered on the color. The New Guard on parade in the square is charged with the responsibility to equal the dedication of those who marched before with the same fierce pride.
Once we're done that, myself and Taylor will do the aircraft inspection. You guys go get your troops, okay?
In 1948, the Canadian government asked the Princess Pats to form a peacetime parachute battalion. That decision radically changed and expanded the role of the PPCLI, who suddenly found themselves no longer just an infantry unit.
Basically what happened, they put it up to the soldiers of the unit and asked them if they would volunteer to do the job, and to a man, everyone volunteered to take parachute training, and that was in early 1948. In mid-1949, the battalion went on its first exercise. And for 20 years, until 1968, until the formation of the Canadian Airborne Regiment, the Patricias were always involved as a parachute unit.
Patricias didn't stop jumping in 1968. The PPCLI provides officers and men to the Airborne Regiment, keeping alive the Pat's proud heritage of airborne service.
Once the aircraft is airborne, over the drop zone, you're given a series of drills that you do to get ready to get out of the airplane. The final command is get ready, and one man stands in the door, the exit to the aircraft, whether it be the back or the sides, and when the green light comes on, the command go, and the plane empties.
Patricias haven't always landed on friendly soil. Cold, muddy fields in France, deeply cratered roads in Italy, and steep hills covered with tangled bush in Korea. That was the norm. They fought there, and they died, amidst the exploding shells. battlefields of Europe behind them, Patricias began earning an international reputation as United Nations peacekeepers.
Our first real call, our regiment's call to the UN, was the police action in Korea in early 1950. Since then, we've been involved several places, most notably Cyprus. We've been over there. As we speak, we have members of the regiment over in Iran, Iraq. Some members have just come back from Afghanistan. We have people in Namibia, people on standby.
All over the globe, the PPCLI is helping to prevent local flare-ups from becoming major international incidents. During a 6-month tour of duty, wives and families are left behind.
What are you putting, Dad?
The peacetime Pats are trained and ready to answer a call to arms, but not because the regiment glorifies or desires war.
PPCLI sent their jumpers to serve in 2 Commando. One of the skills that these airborne soldiers receive extensive training in is that of unarmed combat. And here today to demonstrate this skill are members of our very own 2 Commando, delivered by the Hueys of the 408th Tactical Helicopter Squadron from CFP Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, 2 Commando.
The military is like an insurance policy. The soldiers are the ones that will be the first to say, you know, we do not want war. But the only way to ensure that is to have an effective deterrent. And I'd rather spend my career, my life as a deterrent so that my family or my son wouldn't have to go to war because we've forgotten what the last one was like.
The Sunset Memorial Ceremony is a parade marked by years of tradition and custom. In the past, the ceremony marked the close of day, with soldiers returning to their billets, the gates being closed and the guard mounted.
Post! Standing! Load! Present! Commence!
This ceremony marks the close of the regiment's first 75 years and the mounting of the Guard for the next decade.
As Patricias, we all share a rich heritage of self-giving, a heritage that can inspire us as we begin another 75 years of dedication and service.
This service is dedicated to all past members of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry and reflects on the unselfish commitment which has made the PPCLI the fine regiment it is today.
This national reunion has once again distinguished the Patricias worldwide and allowed us to reach out to all Patricias in appreciation of the regiment's eternal strength, its members. The past 75 years have seen the Patricias triumph on many occasions, and the regiment can again stand tall in celebration of the national reunion and in its future.